Of all the videos I've released in the past year, I think the ones I had the most fun working on were my Silent Hill retrospectives, the ones I did on all the Western Silent Hill games. In case you don't know, the Silent Hill fan community generally tends to view the games made after Silent Hill 4 as inferior, and one of the many reasons why is because they weren't made in Japan. The belief is that, unlike the West, the Japanese have a more subtle, psychological approach to their horror. Thus, the games made in the West weren't as good. Though this argument doesn't really make sense, because the main inspirations behind the first 4 Silent Hill games were all Western movies, books, and TV shows, but you know, gotta uphold that narrative. Anyway, the reason why I enjoyed going back to the latter 4 games so much was, oddly enough, the comment sections on those videos. I don't think I've ever seen so much polite and constructive disagreement with my opinions, or really anybody's opinions, over anything on the internet. And this is the Silent Hill fandom that we're talking about. It was a powerful reminder of something that we all know but tend to forget. The most beautiful aspect of any form of art is its inherent subjectivity. And even with Silent Hill, there is no game or movie that is universally loved or hated.
What about Silent Hill Revelation?
What's that, hon?
What about Silent Hill Revelation?
What about it?
It's garbage. Everyone hates it.
What are you talking about? That movie's a masterpiece. I mean, sure, if I take the movie seriously in any capacity, it's probably one of the top 5 worst movies I've ever seen. But if I don't take it seriously, it's one of my all-time favorite comedies. I'm not even joking. In my mind, Silent Hill Revelation suffers from the same fate that Tommy Wiseau's The Room does, in that both were supposed to be serious movies, but evolved into unintentional spoofs. But unlike a spoof movie where the whole point is to take cliches and purposefully remold them into something clever, Silent Hill Revelation relied so much on horror movie cliches that it evolved beyond the filmmaker's original intentions. I put this down to the writer and the director fundamentally misunderstanding why the stories and characters in the games worked so well. They didn't know how to take the mood, themes, or subtext typical of Silent Hill and move them from an active gaming experience into a passive viewing experience. So they relied on cliché. Nonetheless, if I were given the choice between only watching the first Silent Hill movie or Silent Hill Revelation for the rest of my life, 100% I would choose Silent Hill Revelation. Even though the first movie is clearly superior, there is just such a treasure trove of unintentional humor packed into Revelation's 90-minute runtime, and I have never gotten tired of it. In honor of the Silent Hill 2 remake coming out in a couple of days, and in honor of the inherent subjectivity of art, I decided to look back at Silent Hill Revelation and analyze why it's both so bad, but also so glorious at the same time. So, grab your gyromancy circles and say your prayers to Baphomet. This is Silent Hill Revelation. The movie starts with a young woman running through an amusement park at night, while sinister-looking hooded men chase her from behind. That rabbit is going to come to life, isn't it? Okay, see, this is a perfect microcosm of the rest of the movie. You know what's going to happen long before it does. This happens so much during this movie, I low-key thought I had developed clairvoyance. She eventually finds herself cornered on a carousel, not just by the hooded men, but also by Mr. Corporate Directive. Wait. So, you're telling me that Pyramid Head is an executioner, a manifestation of James Sunderland's guilt, and a carousel operator? Well, I mean, I guess you gotta pay for that gym membership somehow. As the carousel spins, the young woman encounters her doppelganger, who looks like Brandon Lee's more emo and less cool cousin.
Do not go to Silent Hill.
Before the young woman can inquire further, she, along with the carousel, catches fire. But luckily for her, everything she experienced was just a dream, as her father comes in to comfort her.
Hey, come on, kiddo. It's just a dream.
Okay, so as we all know, the guy playing the father, Sean Bean, is famous for dying in every movie he has ever been in. But the first Silent Hill movie was like the one exception. Now the sequel has the chance to set things right. That's better, that's what I'm talking— oh, that was just a dream too. Great, thanks for honey me, movie. So yes, Silent Hill Revelation is a sequel to the first Silent Hill movie. Just as the first movie adapted the story of the first Silent Hill game, Revelation adapts the story of Silent Hill 3. The young woman is Sharon from the first movie, who has since changed her name to Heather. The same is true for her dad, Christopher, who has since changed his name to Harry. They did this because they are trying to avoid being found by Silent Hill's cult, who are still miffed by what Sharon's mom, Rose, did in the first movie to thin their ranks. Though Rose was able to get Sharon/Heather out of Silent Hill's parallel dimension, she could not follow suit, and it is uncertain whether she is still alive. Since her escape, Heather and Harry have frequently moved around in order to avoid persecution by the cult. By the way, if you liked that exposition dump from me, get used to it because there's like 10 more of them in the movie. But I'll bitch about that more later on. The day after Heather has her nightmare, she walks off to her first day at a new school. On the way to the bus stop, she is stopped by a man who looks like a seasoned, world-weary Inspector Gadget.
Have we met?
No, I don't think so.
No? I'm sure we have.
Wow, his line delivery is as wooden as Matthew Broderick's too.
Justice will be served.
When Heather gets to school, the teacher asks her to introduce herself to the class, but things don't go very well.
Do you get all of your clothes from Goodwill?
I don't know, does your mom get all your dads from Chippendales?
Hey, you know what? Let me make this easier for you. This is the 5th school I've been to since I was 11. Me and my dad would move around, so I do this. A lot.
Wait, whoa. Is that Jon Snow? Nice, they got Jon Snow in this movie? Sorry, Heather, you were fulfilling every emo teenager's fantasy of telling their high school peers to f themselves?
So don't bother trying to remember my name because I'm sure as hell not gonna remember yours. Don't talk to me, we won't be friends. And whatever you're thinking of saying or doing, don't bother because I've seen it before and I'm just guessing here, but I don't think there are too many original thinkers in this room.
Very impressive. Now, the next addition to our class, Vincent Cooper.
Are you kidding me? I can't follow that.
Sure you can. Just go up to her and call her your queen 1,000 times. I mean, she's blonde and unstable.
You are my queen. Daenerys is our queen. She is our queen. She'll be a good queen. You are my queen. I don't know what else I can say.
You can say nothing.
When school lets out, she notices the man who met her at the bus stop earlier that day. Suspecting he may have something to do with the cult of Silent Hill, she calls her dad and they plan to meet up.
Okay, I'll meet you at the Happy Burger place.
I understood that reference.
Unfortunately, before Harry is able to leave his house, he is literally kidnapped by a cut to black. As Heather waits in vain for her dad, she starts to witness some weird and seemingly supernatural phenomena. But it could also just as easily be explained as a food safety violation. Before she can make sense of it, she sees her stalker out of the corner of her eye, prompting her to try and ask the security guard for help.
Please, sir.
Hey, he took a grenade to the face during the war, Heather. Where are your manners? Eventually, the stalker confronts Heather in the mall basement, and then reveals who he is.
My name is Douglas Cardlin. I'm a private investigator.
Douglas reveals that he was paid by people from Silent Hill's cult to find her. At first, he wasn't aware of what the cult wanted with Heather, but upon further investigation, he was so disgusted that he went out of his way to protect her. This, of course, is in line with Douglas's role in Silent Hill 3, who just so happens to be my favorite character from that game. I loved how he evolved from being a detached detective to Heather's quasi-guardian. And I gotta give credit where it's due. I felt they did a decent job setting up that arc in the movie. I couldn't wait to see how his role would be expanded. Wait, what was that? God damn it! Can't this movie do anything right? Heather manages to escape, and then she runs into Vincent again. Noticing she is visibly upset, he convinces her to let him tag along and talk things out. Though she doesn't reveal explicitly what happened in the mall, she alludes to it with this question.
Do you think there's a difference between dreams and reality?
You should talk to my grandfather. It's all he ever thinks about. It drove him crazy.
It's driving me crazy.
He'll tell you there are no such things as dreams, just endless realities all piled on top of each other. Some people see monsters, other people just see people.
I want to give the filmmakers a bit of credit here. The conversation these two are having shows that the writers at least understood the mechanics of Silent Hill's supernatural phenomena. How dreams and reality are one and the same, and they can interpenetrate sometimes. The problem is that part of what made the game so scary is none of that was ever explicitly revealed. The gamer was, for the most part, left to stew in the confusion and the chaos. When you lay out in detail what's going on early in the movie, any of the horror that comes from trying to make sense of a nonsensical environment is gone. And when that subtext is gone, all the film can rely on are Silent Hill's unique aesthetics, gore, and jump scares, and that's pretty much what the rest of the film does. After the bus stops, Jon Snow walks her back to her house and says goodbye. Then, as Heather walks in the door, she sees something truly disturbing. God, there's so much subtext to this sign. I wonder what it could mean. Heather starts running around the house, looking for her dad and screaming his name. Jon Snow hears her screams from outside, prompting him to rush to her aid. Heather tries to explain to him that there are people who have been looking for her since she was a child, but doesn't do the best job explaining why.
A gun? Why do you need a gun?
God, stop pushing your liberal politics on me, Jon. Heather resolves to find her dad, but because she can't drive, she takes advantage of Jon Snow's infatuation and asks if he could drive her to a motel for the night.
Sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows, everything that's wonderful.
By the way, if you get that reference, you and I are officially best friends. As they drive, Heather pores over notes from her dad, who spent years trying to understand what happened in Silent Hill.
It says Silent Hill was originally a prison colony built on ground taken from the native Indians.
Never build on ancient Indian burial grounds. I thought everyone knew that.
Okay, movie, I'll give you that one. That was a cute line. Eventually, they arrive at a motel and sleep for the night. But Heather doesn't get much rest, as she is plagued by a nightmare of her dark half, Alessa. See what I mean about how the movie can now only rely on its visuals and jump scares? Yeah, just wait, there's plenty more of that. Jon Snow then reveals he's actually a member of the Order. Yeah, I know I put low effort into telling you that, but it's equivalent to the effort the film makes in telling us that.
Because I am a child of the Order.
And then, you guessed it, we get more exposition dumped on our head.
I was born and raised in Silent Hill.
How did you escape Silent Hill?
It is possible for a few to escape just for a while, but it requires sacrifice.
How could you do this to Heather?
My whole life, all I've been taught, all that any of us are taught, is that Alessa is the great evil of the world. She trapped us, she brings the darkness, and you are part of that evil.
And now that you spent time with her, you realize what?
You know nothing, Jon Snow.
Come on, you knew that was coming. And this just goes on for the next 2 minutes. It's like a dialogue tree from a Bethesda RPG. Pick your question, get your answer. Pick your question, get your answer. Somebody needed to tell the writers for this movie that delivering exposition works in different ways between a game and a movie. While it's okay sometimes to break up long sections of gameplay with an exposition dump here or there, it doesn't work in a movie. A movie needs consistent character development. In this case, I think something really interesting could have been done if Heather and Jon Snow's relationship were deeper. Maybe they could have supported one another over their traumatic childhoods, with him growing up in the cult and with her running away from the cult. Maybe show scenes from Heather and Harry's past to show how much she depends on her dad, making her desire to go to Silent Hill and rescue him all the more courageous and dramatic. But no, we get none of that. From this point on, the movie is just exposition dumps broken up by action set pieces. In other words, it is trying to take a typical video game structure and make it work as a movie, which inevitably results in disaster. Thankfully though, all of this is done in such an incompetent way that it consistently veers into unintentional hilarity. During Jon Snow and Heather's argument, the world crosses over into Silent Hill's famous Otherworld. When this happens, the demon that killed Douglas crosses over and kidnaps Jon Snow, leaving Heather in the motel alone. Wait, what? What are you doing? Heather was right there! Why didn't you kidnap her too, you f***ing dolt? See, this is what I'm talking about. It's so stupid and incompetent that it's freaking hilarious. And trust me, there's more where that came from. Buckle in. Heather then journeys to Silent Hill through the iconic fog, which somehow looks worse than it did in the movie that came out 6 years prior. Ooh, look at that sign too. And that's just dripping with hot, sticky subtext. As Heather arrives in the center of town, she meets a familiar face.
You should not be here.
Oh, hi, Mom. Glad to see you moved out of your Rob Zombie phase. Of course, as you would expect, Heather's quasi-mother, Dahlia, proceeds to give the movie's first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth exposition dump in 45 minutes! Well, just to keep things moving, I will quickly summarize. The town of Silent Hill is the way it is because Dahlia's child, Alessa, was burned alive by the town's religious cult. They did this as a way to purify her, on account of her being born out of wedlock, as well as being SA'd by the school janitor. The injustice of her immolation birthed a rage within Alessa, which fueled her inherent psychic power. Thus, the nightmare world of Silent Hill was born. Finally, because Alessa had a part of her that she knew could be free from pain, she had it manifest in the form of a newborn child. That child was Heather, who was then sent to an orphanage and would inevitably be adopted by Rose and Harry. Now, because the Order of Silent Hill are unable to escape the world of Silent Hill, they need Heather to reunify with Alessa's spirit to complete the ritual. This would bring down the nightmare of Silent Hill, and would also free the Order to unleash their unique brand of evil upon the world. It is now up to Heather to rescue her father, as well as Jon Snow, and destroy the Order. The second half of the movie is, for the most part, just Heather wandering from action set piece to action set piece, and this is where the bulk of the film's hilarity comes from. First, Heather wanders into an abandoned mannequin factory, where she encounters this monster, who likes to take human women and then transform them into mannequins, so that it may add their body parts to its twisted form. Now watch this, this is like one of the best parts of the movie. Oh my god, dude, that looks so bad. Wait, one more again. Oh my god. I'm not wrong to be laughing at this, right? This is objectively funny. Heather does her best to rescue one of the kidnapped women while avoiding the mannequin monster. They try to escape through the exit door only to find it locked. Thankfully, they notice a sizable air vent nearby and try to inch their way to it, while trying not to make any noise or do anything that would draw— Hey, whoa, 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 whoa! Did you guys see that? Rewind that! Are you freaking kidding me? Heather, you saw what happened to that other mannequin, right? Meaning the one you're grabbing is probably alive too? I'm pretty sure she didn't consent to that. Anyway, Heather manages to escape, but the other girl doesn't. Before we move on to the next set piece, we find out that Harry and Jon Snow are still alive, and are being interrogated by the leader of the cult of— Wait, Carrie-Anne Moss? That's Carrie-Anne Moss! This movie's got Trinity and Jon Snow? Man, I wasn't expecting that crossover, but I'll take it. Now quickly, before we move on, remember when Jon Snow was talking about his crazy grandfather on the bus?
You should talk to my grandfather. It's all he ever thinks about.
See? He did say that. Well, now we get to meet him. And Malcolm McDowell? Frickin' Alex DeLarge is in this movie too? Wait a minute. Malcolm McDowell, Carrie-Anne Moss, Sean Bean, Jon Snow. What? This is like one of the best casts ever assembled for a movie ever. And they all agreed to do this crap? Or maybe the producers have some serious blackmail on all of them, I don't know. Shortly after meeting Jon Snow's grandfather, he tries to attack her, but she promptly blows him away. But in doing so, she accidentally triggers the greatest crossover in horror movie history.
Stars.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! I didn't know that Nemesis was in this picture! Look me in the eye and tell me that doesn't look like Nemesis from Resident Evil 3. And just like in the newer Resident Evil games, Heather attacks the orange weak spot and defeats him. Eventually, she finds Jon Snow strapped to a bed, surrounded by the iconic nurses, which, like Pyramid Head, shouldn't be there, but anyway. I'm happy to overlook that because this scene, without a doubt, is the funniest in the entire movie for one simple reason. Why? Why? Like, I know he's Jon Snow, but come on, ladies, have some dignity. After they escape, Jon Snow leads Heather to the lakeside amusement park, which serves as the entrance to the Order's sanctuary. He distracts the patrolling guards, giving Heather a chance to infiltrate the Order's HQ undetected. Unfortunately, she gets caught and ends up cornered on the carousel, just like in her dream at the beginning of the movie. And of course, we are reintroduced to Chiana from the TV show Farscape if she listened to nothing but Evanescence.
Do you feel nothing?
Nothing but hate.
No, but of course this is Alessa, or rather an astral projection of the Alessa that was burned at the stake. Now I want to give this scene some credit because once again, it demonstrates that the writers understood the psychological concepts upon which the Silent Hill games were predicated. In this instance, Alessa represents Heather's Jungian shadow. The shadow is the dark, unconscious side of oneself that contains all of a person's undesirable traits. Unless one integrates that dark side and brings it under their control, they risk having it possess them, turning them into a monster. Though this moment demonstrates that understanding, it lacks any emotional weight. It could have been a powerful moment if, like I said before, the narrative were structured around Heather contending with the trauma of her past, especially when Alessa tries to subsume Heather with her feelings of hate, only for Heather to overpower and integrate her. But like with so many aspects of this movie, the reference being made to the game is accurate, but it lacks any meaningful impact. Heather finally makes it to the sanctuary where Trinity tells her what the Order's ultimate plan is.
Then let my father go.
He cannot go. His blood will feed the newborn god, just as your body will be its incubator.
Wait, what? Where the hell did that come from?
That's how it is in the game.
Oh, okay. Before the ritual is complete, Trinity transforms into the demon that had been pursuing Heather the whole movie. Just when all hope seems lost, though, Daddy comes to the rescue. No, not Heather's dad, I mean Daddy. And then, because Pyramid Head is suddenly not only a good guy, but Heather's guardian for some reason, he battles Trinity's demon form. Okay, you know what? I would have given this movie 2 extra points out of 10 if instead of fighting her, he were battling Nemesis. Now that, I would have paid double the price of admission for that. Ultimately, Trinity is defeated, and our 3 heroes are able to flee to safety. Yet, Harry decides to stay in Silent Hill so he can find his missing wife, though he promises Heather that he will return. The movie then ends with Heather and Jon Snow hitching a ride with a familiar face.
Travis Grady.
I get that reference. And as they leave Silent Hill, they pass by a familiar prison bus. I also get that reference. Now they just have to reference Homecoming and Shattered Memory. Oh, that's it. And that was Silent Hill Revelation, ladies and gentlemen. A movie that is so bad that it horseshoe theoried around into being a comedic masterpiece. Now I know, my perspective isn't held by every Silent Hill fan. I've spoken to a number of fellow fans who genuinely like this movie for its visuals, how it stays truer to the game than the first movie, and of course, the stuff that I find funny, other people have found legitimately scary. If you enjoy Silent Hill Revelation as a horror movie, not only do I celebrate that, I want to hear from you in the comments section below. I want to see more healthy disagreement like what I got in my retrospective videos. And of course, I hope we can aim for the same level of healthy discourse when the remake finally comes out. Until then, I want to remind you guys, as always and as per usual, stay yellow.